Hey, can you tell us how much the verbiage of this offense has changed since last year? And was it an adjustment period? And how comfortable are you guys with that, at this point heading into the season?
Yeah, pretty much everything changed. There's a couple things schematically that we kind of kept as far as calls go, but everything else really changed. And I think at this point we've had a lot of time, a lot of practices to kind of get used to all the signals and all the new calls. So I think as a whole offense, but specifically an offensive line, I think we feel very comfortable with it. Just getting to know all the signals and kind of what they mean. So we feel pretty good about it.
We'll move on to Rich Scarcella here. Let me unmute you.
Okay. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rich. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Mike, 3 days away from your opener, after all the uncertainty and the highs and lows, does it almost seem unreal that you're this close to starting? And can you describe your anticipation?
Yeah, I think kind of like you said, there's been tons of highs and lows. We're going to play, we're not going to play. And kind of when it seemed like all hope was lost, they came out with a decision that we're going to play. And I think we've just been kind of trying to stay present, but everybody's been extremely excited this whole time. And I think we're ready to just get out on the field and hit somebody else for a change. So obviously very excited. Just can't wait to get back out there and play ball.
We'll move on to Greg Pickle.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for your time, and I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, appreciate that, Greg. Same to you.
Thank you. Hey, I'm just curious, watching tape now on Indiana and getting into that more game week prep. What have you seen from them so far defensively, and does anything stand out to you as being different or maybe better compared to years past? Coach Franklin was pretty adamant yesterday that this is maybe the best Indiana team he's seen in his time here.
Yeah, I mean, just based on so the only film you can watch is obviously film from last year, so it's kind of hard to tell what's going to change. But I think they're going to be definitely a very, very hardworking, high motor team, especially their D line. They all have a pretty high motor, which is obviously a really good trait for defensive linemen to have. So it'll be very important for the O line to make sure we're finishing. And I think they're just talented all around. They got a pretty good linebacker core and some good defensive backs. So it's definitely going to be a good game, and probably, like Coach Franklin said, probably the best Indiana team we've seen in a couple of years.
Mark Wogenrich.
Hey, Michael, appreciate your time.
Yeah.
What does Penn State United mean to you, and how did you guys in the leadership council and the captains kind of come up with that?
Yeah, I think it just kind of means that we're all coming together for one common goal of equality for everybody. And it was kind of something we discussed kind of throughout this whole off season with everything that's been going on in the world. And it was very important for all of us to have some sort of public way to show that, kind of where we stand on the matter. And with everything we've come up with, I think everybody's really, really happy and satisfied with it. And I think it's a great way for us to show our stance, just kind of where we are with this issue.
Tobias Wilborn.
Have you, first of all, man, thank you for doing this, man, as always. And secondly, have you thought about what that first time giving the snap, setting the hands out the block, actually someone else in a real live with live fire, the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, do you mean just in terms of kind of being able to get back out there and play?
Yeah, like that first game, like actually, giving the snap to Sean, the whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been very excited about the thought of that. Being able to get back out there, like you said, and kind of go to battle with my brothers. I think that's kind of what it all comes down to, is we sacrifice so much every day to go out and play on Saturdays, and to do with our brothers, do with the people that we've grown to love so much and care about. And that's the great thing about football, is it takes all 11 But yeah, I'm definitely excited to play my part in that and help us get a win.
Greg Pickle.
Michael, what's your expectation in terms of the environment and atmosphere you'll face in Indiana? Like, have you heard details about what kind of maybe simulated crowd noise that you'll have to be prepared for? Or how has the coaching staff been able to prep you in terms of those kind of rules and newness that'll be in place without public tickets being sold and perhaps just a small amount of family at games?
Yeah, I think our staff has done a great job. I'm not sure. I think there's a certain decibel limit or something like that, maybe. And I'm pretty sure we've been practicing with our music and our crowd noise at about that volume throughout the whole week and kind of since we found out about it. So it's definitely going to be different, but I think we're going to be just as prepared as anybody else in the country, if not the most prepared, because that's kind of how we've been practicing. Coach Franklin takes pride in that, making practice as much like a game as it can be. So I think we're going to be very prepared.
Rich Scarcella.
Mike, what are your expectations for the offense in general? And with the new assistant coaches on your side of the ball, do you feel like that you've had enough time to grasp the new techniques, first of all, on the offensive line, and also the new scheme, quote unquote, of Coach Shiraka? Do you think you've had enough time for that?
Yeah, I do. Whether it's been full speed stuff or just kind of walkthroughs, jog throughs, that type of thing, we've gotten a ton of reps in the past couple months. It's basically, it was just like one giant long camp. I mean, if you want to think about it like that. So we've gotten a ton of reps. And I think the offense and the O-line is going to be really good. Quite frankly, I think we're going to be really strong. And I think everybody's had plenty of time to kind of get a good grasp on all the new techniques and the new schemes that we're going to have. And I'm really excited to see what Coach Shiraka can do on a Saturday. So I'm very excited.
Pat.
Well, here we go. Mike, how are you?
Good, Pat. How you doing?
Real good, real good. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Along the lines of what Rich was saying, I mean, because of COVID, you guys, you didn't have spring practice to work the new offense in. It's almost kind of like buying a new car without test driving it, I guess. How confident are you? I mean, will it take some time to hit the ground running when you get live game action with this new offense, do you think?
Honestly, I don't think so. We've had a ton of time to kind of go through it mentally, just with all the practices and jog-throughs that we were allowed to do when they canceled the season initially. So we've had a ton of mental reps. We've been able to meet throughout that whole time. So I think mentally we'll be good. And then going against our defense for a couple of weeks during camp, I think that got us a bunch of live reps that we needed. And now breaking up into our developmental squads, I think they've been giving us a great look this week and last week. So honestly, I think there might be a couple of wrinkles that we got to iron out very early on, but I think we'll be able to hit the ground running with this offense for sure.
David Eckert.
Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. Hey, you touched on previously, having to use last year's film to scout Indiana, and I'm wondering if there's anything else, any other consequences that you can think of jumping right into conference play without those three non-conference games to kind of get a feel for things.
Yeah, I think you just got to start fast. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things, especially for our conference, like you said, not having those games. I think we're just going to have to start fast and be focused from the first snap. But the thing about Indiana, they have, I think, 8 starters back on defense. So a lot of the film we're watching from last year is the same guys. So we're still able to get a lot of good scouting in and that type of stuff just because of that. But yeah, there's definitely not – it's not a game this year where you can kind of start slow and just kind of still make it through the game and get a win, whether it doesn't look pretty or not. But this year everybody's really got to be on their stuff from the first snap.
Gianna Gali.
Hi, Mike. Hope you're doing well. I'm just curious, in terms of your family this season, are they going to be looking to make the trip to road games, being downtown State College to, partake in that environment? Is there any traditions that you have celebrated over the years with them during football season that might not be able to take place this year?
Yeah, for sure. Just the player walk-in for one. I've seen my family there pretty much every game since I've gotten here, at least since I've been playing. So that's going to be very different, not being able to see them there, give them a big hug, all that kind of stuff. But knowing my parents are going to get to every game that they can. And right now I know that they're going to Indiana, so I'll be very excited to see them there, and then we'll go from there. But I think the biggest thing is just player walking and not being able to see them. It's going to be different, but just happy to be playing. So we got to do what we got to do.
Mark Brennan.
Michael, I think Coach Franklin talked about the depth of the offensive line and that maybe they're going to play more players. What are the advantages, and do you see any disadvantages to that?
No, I mean, I don't see any disadvantages to having depth and having a bunch of good players that can play. I think it'll really give a lot of people an opportunity to work really hard during the week, and I think that might correlate to how much they play on Saturday, which I think is good. I think it's going to motivate the whole offensive line just to kind of keep striving to be better and be perfect every single day. And that's kind of one thing I've always focused on, is just trying to get better each and every day. It's kind of the process of the whole program that we run by. Just get better every single day, and then Saturdays will take care of itself. But I think there's going to be no disadvantages to playing more people and having more people that can play, especially this year with everything that's going on with all the testing. Like, who knows, a guy could turn up positive on a Friday, and then we need somebody to step up and play Saturday. So I think depth everywhere this year is going to help us.
Paul Gable.
Hey, Mike, thanks for the time. Earlier this week, Indiana head football coach Tom Allen talked about last season's game and primarily the fourth quarter, the last 9 minutes of that game, and talked a lot about the fact that you guys on the offensive line pretty much won that game. When you look back at last year, especially that fourth quarter, what comes to mind, and what are some challenges that Indiana's defense poses for you guys?
Yeah, I definitely remember that 4-minute drive we had last year. It was a good drive. We were just able to run the ball and kind of keep doing our thing. We took a lot of time off the clock, which allowed our defense to get a big stop for us then. But yeah, Indiana, I think their D-line all play with a really high motor, which is challenging at times for O-line. Just because later in the play, maybe you got a guy blocked for the first 4 seconds of the play, but then those last 2 seconds is high motor. If you're not still trying to run your feet and finish, it can pose problems. And that's kind of one of the things that Coach Shiraka talks about, is winning the last 2 seconds of the play. It can take a good run to being a great run. But I think their front seven, I think, is really good this year. I think it was last year as well. So I think the offensive line as a whole, we just need to kind of be working together and make sure we're communicating well and finishing.
Rich Carcella.
Mike, with Journey not able to play, how would you describe your confidence in Noah, Devin, and the two freshmen?
Yeah, I think we have a ton of depth. Obviously, we're going to miss Journey a lot. He's a great leader, great kid. Love him to death and wish him nothing but the best. But yeah, we're going to keep plugging along. We always kind of have to have a next man up mentality. And I got a ton of confidence in all of our backs. I think we're incredibly deep there, and I'm excited to see what the new young guys can do as well. But we know with Noah and Devin, we know what they can do already. So I'm just very excited.
Mark Wogenrich.
Mike, you mentioned starting quickly. One thing that Coach Shiraka had said, I would kind of use it as a mantra, was strike first, strike fast. How often has he said that to you guys, and in what context? How will he tell you that as well?
Yeah, I think that's it's been a point of emphasis of his kind of since he's gotten here, and he'll say it toward the beginning of practice to kind of make sure that we're starting fast, almost like as if it was the first drive of a game. And I think that's kind of something we've tried to develop because I think that's something you need to develop. It's not something every team just has the ability to start fast. It kind of all just revolves around your mentality, which is something that Coach Shiraka also talks about a lot. But yeah, somebody says a lot just kind of means to us that we gotta start fast and then just keep being able to throw punches back after that.
David Eckert.
Yeah, Michael, just to kind of follow up on that, I mean, do you think it's going to be more challenging to try to start fast without the crowd there, without, all that kind of, stuff that you're used to?
Personally, I don't. Obviously, the crowd, they bring a ton of energy to us. We're definitely going to miss that this year, but I think just the energy that we're going to be able to pour into each other on the sideline and before the game, I think that's going to be the key for us, and I think we're going to be really good at being able to do that. So I think we'll still be able to start fast and kind of get things rolling.
We'll go last question here with Tyler Donahue.
Hi, Michael. Wanted to ask about two second-year players on your roster that you see a lot. Caden Wallace at tackle, and then across the trenches, Hakeem Beeman cracking that two deep. I guess both those guys cracked the two deep that we saw yesterday. Can you say what kind of matchup does Hakeem present on the defensive interior? And then what do you see from Caden in year two? How is he going to affect this offensive line?
Yeah, I think Hakeem, kind of from the start of the camp, everybody noticed the difference in him. It seemed like he took a huge jump from last year to this year, and he was always a good player. But now he's ready to kind of step up and play a bigger role for our defensive line. He's really quick off the ball, uses his hands really well for a young guy, and he just plays with a really high motor. The play's never over for him. He's always chasing the ball, trying to get to the quarterback, and I think it's going to be huge for our D-line this year. And then a guy like Caden, he's kind of just come in and kept grinding and tried to get better and better each day, and he has. I think if he needs to play for us this year, which I think he will, at some point, I think he's going to be able to do really well for us, and there's not going to be any type of drop-off with him.